All right. Let's get this fucker started.
Yeah, and how about it? Due to numerous technical issues,
We've been fucking with this for 40 minutes. Okay. All
I
right.
know. I told her see her in a half an hour, and she called me a fucking liar.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. well,
Oh,
well,
I shouldn't have said her name. I told Mrs. Danny, "Oh yeah, we'll be out in a half hour, 40 minutes," and she goes, "Right."
yeah. Okay.
She goes, "What do you want for lunch?"
Here you go. 3, 2, 1. On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, how to take the polls, candidate quality matters, the Republican downside, and the grand bargain. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Danny and Marky, and this is episode 278 of the John 1911 podcast. Today is November 12th at about 10:41 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have been in a holding pattern on doing a podcast for a few days for a couple of reasons. Number one, we had planned on this being our midterm election follow-up episode, and I knew even on Monday that we weren't going to be doing it on Wednesday, so we held it till Thursday, Friday, and then I ended up traveling and not feeling well, and so I'm now back, and we're going to do this one, and we're going to hopefully be done in less than an hour, maybe 30, 40 minutes. So, Danny, 2022 midterms, how's it going?
Still undecided in some races. It's crazy. I mean, Florida has 5 times the amount of voters as what Arizona or Nevada do, and they were done by 10 p.m. that evening with a vote count. It really leads one to question really what's going on out in the western states.
Well, number one, at this point in 2022, anybody that's not getting their votes counted within, say, 24 hours at most, it's obviously willful. Now, I voted in Ohio, and when I go to vote, I have to fill out it's like a glorified Scantron, and it's like a glorified Scantron, and you have to there's rules that they say you have to make sure fill it out this way, do this, do that, and then even when you're logging in and getting your ballot, it does a signature verification, which is kind of scary because it's electronic. It's not like a guy looks at your signature in Ohio and goes, "Yeah, that's you." Like literally, the computer looks at it and goes, "I watched it. It said signature match," and my signature is so sloppy. Because I'm like, yeah, whatever, sign on the screen. It's like an iPad or something. Sign on it, and it's like, okay. And there's a lot of variation in that. But somehow it still was able to tell that it's me. And what this does is this cures a lot of the ballot problems. So I did a signature verification when I got there. I have to fill it out a certain way. Then I go over to, basically they're like, okay, now take your ballot and feed it into this OCR machine. A scan reader, and
Right.
and all your sheets. And like this year's ballot, I think was 4 sheets, 3 or 4 sheets, 4 sides, 2 sheets. And if it feeds it in, and it's each sheet, it's like, okay, it recorded your votes. Feed the next one in, it recorded your votes. There's no bullshit like oh, something's wrong with the ballot to kick it back out. Like we can't read this or this doesn't reading. Like there's a problem, and so going to go vote in person cures a lot of these problems that you might have. Like, you go in there and you're like, X, 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 X. Where on a Scantron, you have to fill out the block exactly or the circle exactly. Well, there's people that are mailing in ballots they're just not paying attention. They go X, 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 and then they mail them in, and that's a mess. Or if the signature doesn't match, it's a mess. And so they now have to, they call it curing a ballot. They have to track all these people down.
Which is bullshit. If you have to be 18 to vote. If you can't read the directions, fill in the circle, sign your name, then you're an idiot. You don't deserve to vote.
Well, it doesn't really work like that. Because I remember going to vote and just forgetting and doing X, 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 and had to go back and fill in all, because I just was like, yeah, whatever, click, 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 click. And I was like, oh shit, you gotta freaking Scantron the thing in like you're in the third grade. And so, when I voted on Monday in Ohio, and I put my ballot into the Scantron at the voting poll station, it kept a sheet and recorded it and said, "We recorded your vote." Like that's like I don't know how they transmit it back to Mama. Like they have to take it in and do all that. Like I don't believe they're connected to the internet, but it's recorded the votes. Like it's happened right there. Like it's not like they got to go back and they can count them by hand if they want to, but it's done. And a lot of these places that are having all these problems, especially I can understand if you're having problems because apparently it's the policy that you don't have to start counting mail-in votes, or you don't start counting mail-in ballots until the day of or like after the polls close. And I guess a lot of that, I don't know if they feed them or they have to count them by hand or how all that works. So I can understand if you've got 70% or 60% mail-in ballots, that can overwhelm you. But I mean, this is just insanity.
It is. It's ripe for this whole 5 days waiting to count of everything going on. It's ripe for people to have bad vibes about this. It's ripe for a lot of bad speculation. I mean, it's like, come on. There's just like in Nevada for the Senate race. Laxalt, when I went to bed, was up 40,000 votes. Oh, this morning, now he's only up 1,000.
Okay, so let's talk about that because this is where a lot of people get this all fucked up. And so the example I need to give, and this is let's say it's 1,000, like you said, like there's 1,000 votes separating the two people. All right.
Correct.
And you're like, there's 5,000 votes left, and you're like, well, we could get the 1,000 votes. Like, well, there's 5,000 votes. Like, we could get 5,000 more votes. It's never. I don't care where you live, and this is something a lot of people don't want to realize. I don't care where you live, what zip code, what neighborhood, what house in your family is. There's never a situation where it's 100% Democrat or 100% Republican. So a good rule of thumb is if it's let's say I needed to overcome 1,000 votes. It's not like if we get 2,000 votes, all of a sudden I'm going to be up I'm going to be up 1,000, because it doesn't work like that. Because normally you need 2-to-1 best case scenario to overcome 1,000. Like, for example, so if you're short 1,000 votes, minimum, let's see, so 3 or 4-to-1 votes to get that to add up to where you could overcome 1,000 vote deficit. And like you extrapolate that over 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, you start to see where they start calling things. But then people are like, well, whatever county is a Republican bastion or whatever county is a Democratic stronghold, blah, 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 blah. So I guess the first thing that needs to be said is, and this is gonna be bad news for a lot of people listening to this podcast. The Republicans did not get their red wave because the Democrats stole it from them. Is that a fair statement to make, Danny?
I'll say in some instances.
Well, no, it's not. There's not in some instances. A red wave would be an overwhelming number of votes, an overwhelming number of seats. Not. You can't. If it's a red wave, you can't say, well, Nevada's kind of sketchy and Arizona's kind of sketchy. but then the rest of it should still wave.
Correct. And I see where you're coming from. But there are quite a few, I mean a shitload of 51, 49 percentages. The wave didn't materialize. No, it didn't. But there are a lot of Democrats that won or held on by late votes coming in. And it makes one speculate a little bit.
Well, wait a minute. Now, as a matter of fact, what's considered a late vote? Because apparently the late votes are Republican votes. The early votes are the Democratic votes, the mail-in ballots. Those people have voted 4 weeks ago.
What are late votes? Oh, precincts reporting. Back to the county, this or that. Very strong Democrat precincts. Oh, yeah, we forgot to turn in this box or this or that. Don't think that doesn't go on.
Well, now, I'm not saying it doesn't go on. See my previous comments about Pennsylvania. And, I can probably be pretty confident in saying that about West Virginia, or not West Virginia, Nevada. Because, But before we talk about individual races, we have to talk about the bugaboo here. And we have to be honest. Okay? I have a thing in my life. It's okay. It's not okay. But it's one thing for someone to lie to other people. Because it is what it is. It could be spin. It could be, they're trying to reach an end goal. But a person who lies to his or herself is a completely crazy person that will drag the rest of the world with them over the edge of the cliff. And I do not think Republicans should sit around and say, well, the Democrats stole the midterms. We went from everybody saying red wave to not a red wave, and that is not an example of, late hit ballot boxes all across the country. Okay, like for example, so you have to look at individual races, and I happen to know this race because I live here. So, Ohio, J.D. Vance won Ohio for Senate, right?
Correct.
Yeah, which I predicted. I'm not a Vance.
Huh? And your governor.
Which I predicted.
But your congressman, the incumbent, lost.
Correct. He lost. His name is Steve Shabbat, and he's Ohio District 1. So I can, before people's eyes roll back in their head, I can do this very simply to explain to you Ohio District 1 and what some people would call gerrymandering, and other people would call it, adjusting districts to favor a certain party. Hamilton County, where Cincinnati is located, is essentially a horizontal rectangle. Okay? Traditionally, District 1, Ohio 1, is to the west side, to the left on the rectangle. District 2 is to the right. And anyone that is familiar with Cincinnati is very aware of the idea of the east and west side divide in Hamilton County and Cincinnati.
Does the river divide east and west there?
No, the river divides Kentucky and Ohio. So the east and west side divide, and I'm speaking in tropes and generalities going back probably 60 years. So just bear with me and let me explain this to you. Historically, Ohio 1, the west side of the square, the left side of the square, was working class, conservative. I wouldn't say necessarily Republican, but I would say working class, middle class at most, and blue collar. Okay? Now, there's people over there with money. There's blue-collar people with money. There's country clubs over there. But that's the working class side of town. The right side of the rectangle, the east side of the square, is typically the wealthier side of town. It is where the money is. Most of the prominent business people, very prominent business people that are CEO, CFO, CIO of publicly traded companies, people that own sports teams, people that own high-rise office buildings. Those people lived on the east side. And there's definitely a money culture over there. So now, but here's what's happened. Downtown Cincinnati, in the city, it was decided probably 20 years ago that they wanted to revitalize the inner city, which is essentially in the middle of the square at the bottom of the square. So geometrically, you don't have to be from here. I've described to you. Horizontal rectangle. To the left is the west side where the working class is. To the right is the east side where the rich people are. And in the center, in the middle of the center at the bottom on the river, is Cincinnati. Okay? And Cincinnati's a big city that has big city problems and big city politics. Now, Cincinnati and Hamilton County have generally been a Republican bastion for a long time in the state, where Cleveland and Columbus and I think Toledo, those places are very liberal. But what's happened is, in Cincinnati, they decided to have gentrification, and they wanted to make downtown Cincinnati more friendly to a modern population. Like, they wanted people to move into the city, live in the city, work in the city, restaurants, shopping, and all that kind of stuff. Well, downtown Cincinnati is filled with all kinds of what we call Section 8 housing, okay, and projects in tough neighborhoods. And a lot of these people are on government assistance. What they decided to do, I don't know who they is, but somebody decided, and people, it makes sense. We need to move a lot of these people out of Cincinnati. Are you going to move them over onto the west side where the property's less expensive? Or are you going to move them over on the east side where the property's more expensive? And you could also make an argument the property is, there's more juice over there because, the east side has more money. Now, mind you, there are a lot of people over there that are conservative, but the east side wasn't going to have this. So what they did is they moved all of these people. They started converting large apartment complexes, building Section 8 housing all over on the west side. And it has changed the demographics of Western Hamilton County. It used to be a white working class, middle class area. And Steve Shabbat in Ohio 1 has represented that, God, I don't know, it could be 40 years. He lost one time, I think, during the Obama administration and got his seat back. But if you look at when every 10 years, when they have the census and they redraw the districts based on how many people you have in your state, Ohio 1 did not stay a square on the left side of the rectangle. Ohio 1, Danny, watch your microphone. Ohio 1.
I actually hit that with my hand. That's my fault.
Ohio 1 has turned into a crazy ass fucking pork chop. Ohio 1 is insane the way it looks. You're over on the east side of Cincinnati, driving around in these traditionally east side neighborhoods, and you see signs for Steve Shabbat from Ohio 1 all the way over there on the east side, and you're like, how in the fuck is this even possible? It's because what they did is they circled a little area around Steve's neighborhood and his street where he lives, and they stretched his Ohio 1 all the way over onto the east side, and then they redrew Ohio 2 and brought the shit down above it. And this has been an attempt to keep Steve Shabbat alive in Ohio 1, Republican or conservative forever. Steve Shabbat lost this race. Steve Shabbat losing Ohio 1 has nothing to do with Donald Trump. It has nothing to do with ballots. It has nothing to do with mail-in ballots or late hits or surreptitious bullshit. It is simply the fact that the west side of Hamilton County, and I hate to say this to people, but it is the truth, is turned into and turning into the south side of Chicago. And at some point, Steve Shabbat is the last of the holdouts over there. For all I know, Steve Shabbat moved over to the east side, just so I could still be a senator, I could still be a congressman. And so Shabbat lost Ohio 1. if you look at the judges in Hamilton County, and I'm going somewhere with this because I'm referencing subject I've talked to you people in the podcast about in the past. We had a number of conservative judges that did not win re-election or win election. We had the Hamilton County Commissioner. I think there was a commissioner seat that came up that was won by a Democrat. So we have Shabbat's destroyed. He's out. There's a guy who used to work for Nancy Pelosi, is now the new representative-elect of Ohio 1 in Western Hamilton County. Literally, he worked for Nancy Pelosi. We have a mayor of Cincinnati now who is probably left of, I would say, most Democrats. He's left of Joe Manchin for sure, okay? We got a bunch of judges that are no longer conservative. Not all of them, but some. We now have a sheriff. It's a female sheriff. She's a Democrat, and she's a lesbian. She's Danny, watch your microphone. She's a lesbian sheriff, and she is, you know, in a county where you had Simon Lease and the Hustler. Remember Larry Flint and Hustler, the movie? That whole argument about all that shit, that was all here at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is turning into a liberal cesspool. And if it, you know, Joe Biden being president does not affect me. Donald Trump being president does not affect me. But whoever the local sheriff is, the prosecutors is, and the judges are, they will fuck your whole life up. And you can make an argument about Ohio being conservative and becoming a conservative Republican state. It's no longer a swing state. But you look at Hamilton County. Hamilton County's gone. Hamilton County's fucked up. Hamilton County could be Portland in 10 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Time to move across the border.
Possibly, or definitely move out of Hamilton County. But my point is, you know, you can, but that has nothing to do with what happened in Arizona. That has nothing to do with what happens in Nevada. That has nothing to do with what happens in Pennsylvania. So, you know, just to look at the races, you know, I'm not a person that's going to succumb to, you know, a narrative that the Democrats stole this. I mean, you can make an argument. I don't know what's going on in Nevada. I don't know what's going on in Arizona. Like that certainly seems like it's fucked up and they're not inclined to fix it. But, you know, like this is, Republicans running around saying this is going to be a red wave and pollsters running around saying this is going to be a red wave. And what happened? This is a blowout. This is a blowout against the Republicans. This is not good news.
Well, here's the thing that which you have to ask yourself. The number one thing with the liberals on this ballot, they blew off the economy. They blew off paying $5 a gallon for gas, this or that, because they pushed, the Democrats pushed abortion and they pushed democracy. Democracy was never in peril. It was just a talking point.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, when Democrats say democracy is in jeopardy, what are they really saying? It's not about democracy. What are they really saying?
They're not saying a damn thing. All it is a talking point.
No, it's not. No. Democracy is in jeopardy. You don't spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, and say democracy in jeopardy without it meaning something. When a Democrat says democracy is in jeopardy, what are they saying?
Their way of life.
No, they're talking about Donald Trump. They're talking about the MAGA movement. They're talking about conservative Republicans.
But any person that's semi-educated knows that the actual meaning of democracy being in peril has nothing to do with it. It's the Democrats' own agenda.
Well, that's what
their democracy is. Their agenda, the democracy of the United States.
No, they're saying democracy is on the ballot because their argument is if we don't win this election, we're going to lose I'm not making something my argument. Their argument is democracy's on the ballot because if the other side wins, we're going to lose our democracy. And what that is code for is Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans. That is absolutely
Correct.
what that's for.
That's why I said it's for their own agenda, for their own self-preservation. It has nothing to do with real democracy. Do they think we're going to, if the Republicans took over everything, we're going to shut down the courts? We're going to do this. The
Well,
Republicans are
okay.
going to
I
do
mean,
that. Of course not.
no, wait a minute. Again, I'm not making this is not my argument. When you say that, the next thing Democrats will say is January 6th. I mean, this is
They
not unrelated. This isn't like, okay, the 2022 midterm election did not just come out of nowhere. They're arguments.
I I don't know. All I know is that these Senate races are so razor thin close. Hopefully, the Republicans maintain a 6 to 8 seat lead into the House, so it could be interesting. Now, with the Republicans, if they do keep control or get control of the House, rather, anything that they vote against Biden's agenda will be anti-democracy. You want to bet on it?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I mean, betting on that is like betting that water isn't wet. I mean, the founding fathers believed in divided government, and so if we have divided government, that's they're okay with that. That's what they want. Like we not want any one group can have enough power to do anything on their own without getting other people on the other
Right.
side to buy into it. So yeah. So the good news is that the Republicans look like they're going to they're going to gain the House, but not by nearly as much as what people were thinking. At this point, I don't think it looks like the Republicans are going to hold the Senate or get the Senate. We'll see. I could be wrong. I think that's still yet to be flushed out. But
Right.
is this a Republican win? Is the 2022 midterms a Republican win or a Republican loss?
It's a Republican loss
At least I
because
appreciate. Go ahead.
the Republicans did not get the plurality of seats that they thought that they would. Will the Republican House get the majority? It looks like it, and we're hoping so. Will it be a check and balance system with the Republicans in the House? Of course, we hope so. The one party rule is a failure.
Okay, so if it's a Republican loss and Republicans recognize it as a loss, and if you lose, you need to evaluate what went right and what went wrong. What is the takeaway for Republicans going forward from 2022?
Well, if you're a pundit, you're going to say Republicans need to sever ties with Trump because a lot of the Trump-backed candidates did win, a lot didn't win. So, do you sever ties with the supposed head of the party? Do you all of a sudden now jump on the DeSantis bandwagon? Here's the new face of the Republicans. It's a quandary, one which has to be stepped on lightly, but no matter what happened in this election, people that think Donald Trump does not still hold great influence are fooling themselves.
No, Donald Trump obviously holds great influence, but we have to be honest about Donald Trump. And I'm going to say something here that I've said about Donald Trump for a long time, and I said it during the midterms to even bring it to light. Donald Trump is terrible at picking candidates to endorse. He is absolutely terrible at it. And Donald Trump's ability to pick a candidate is strictly based on because he's a celebrity. And Donald Trump's like, well, if this person's a celebrity, he's a winner, and I pick winners. Like the perfect example of that, two perfect examples of this. Donald Trump endorsing Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania, which Dr. Oz is a weird guy. He was weirdly angry. He's a carpetbagger in Pennsylvania. And it was like, okay, why did you pick him? But maybe that was his only choice. Then Donald Trump turned around and he picked in Ohio J.D. Vance. Now J.D. Vance won his Ohio Senate seat. So is J.D. Vance a win for Donald Trump?
Yes, because he did win.
I say no. J.D. Vance is a never Trumper. Number one, J.D. Vance is a carpetbagger. J.D. Vance hasn't lived in Ohio forever. He's back here now. We talked about where he lives now. But he went to California, worked for Peter Thiel, and all this other kind of shit. And then he's back here in Ohio because he wants to run for governor or run for Senate, and it's fine. Good for him. But J.D. Vance was a never Trumper. J.D. Vance criticized Trump. He never got on the Trump train. He never was a MAGA Republican. He never did anything. And it was all over the internet. He did it publicly. He was like, I don't like Trump. I don't like any of his stuff. And then when J.D. Vance decided he was going to run for Senate, he realized, holy shitballs, I am going to, this is going to come back to haunt me in Ohio because Trump was very popular in Ohio. So J.D. Vance started actually, sucking up to Trump. And J.D. Vance doesn't like Trump. J.D. Vance is not a MAGA Republican. He's not a Trump conservative. J.D. Vance is an old party guy. He's not. J.D. Vance he's the typical Mike DeWine, Rob Portman, Bob Taft Republican in Ohio. And, the Republican establishment wanted him. Fox News wanted him. Peter Thiel wanted him. And Donald Trump showed up in Ohio, stuck his finger in there and says, who am I going to endorse? And he actually endorsed a guy who shit on him, which is amazing for Donald Trump. But that tells me Donald Trump is so bad at this shit, he should stop doing it because he just can't. Here's the biggest loser. The biggest loser from the 2022 midterms, and I hate to say this, is Donald Trump. Because here's what Donald Trump was planning on doing. He had bought into the narrative there was going to be a red wave. And he's like, there's going to be a red wave, and there's going to be a 56 in the Senate. Okay? And whatever this thing is in the House. And then he was come out, and last week, before the election, he's like, I may have something to tell you guys next week. Donald Trump was going to come out next week, and he was going to say, this is all because of me. This is the MAGA movement. I'm announcing my candidacy to run again in 2024. The Justice Department is now going to hopefully not be inclined to indict him, which I think is probably a poor bet. I think the Justice Department at this point, even if Donald Trump declared his candidacy, will indict Donald Trump. And now he's flailing around like a crazy person, attacking all of these people because his master plan has now been messed up. And, and this is a good time for Donald Trump and a lot of people who watch Fox News and listen to the pundits to have a real come to Jesus conversation about the polling in the United States. And you and I talked about this. We had our company meeting. We had a company meeting, you and I. We had dinner. Lunch, early lunch, late dinner, late lunch, early dinner on Monday before the election. And I told you at dinner, I said, if I don't care what these polls say, if Oz isn't up over 6 points, at least 6.1%, he will not win in Pennsylvania.
Yes, I'll give you credit. You did call that.
I called that. And I'm like, okay, I don't like Oz. Oz is a squish. Oz is anti-gun. Oz is got some weird baggage. Even Oprah came out against Oz when she supposedly made him. Like, that's fine. Okay, it's like, all right, Oz is trying to run on celebrity the way Trump did. And a lot of these people are now trying to do. And it's like, I don't care what these polls say. I know Pennsylvania. Okay? Things in life statistically tend to revert back towards the mean. Okay? Crackheads tend to keep smoking crack. All right? Pennsylvania is not going to all of a sudden go conservative. Pennsylvania's been a fake conservative state for 25 years, in my opinion. And, this idea that this Oz guy is just going to come in and beat Fetterman, who's very popular in Pennsylvania. I don't care if Fetterman if Fetterman looked like, if he's like that one scientist, who's the guy that used to be in the wheelchair and he had to talk through they had to type out with his mouth through a keyboard like I told you where the black hole is in the universe.
Oh,
What's
I
that?
know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Um,
like, I'm telling you, it's a hard fight, and I don't like
Stephen. Oh, God, I can't think of
Stephen
it.
Hawking. There you go.
That's
Yeah,
it.
Stephen Hawking. And it's like,
Oh,
y'all can miss me with this bullshit miss me with this bullshit with Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania. I'm like, whatever. And then, all right, let's talk about Georgia. All right. I have never been that hip on Walker. Walker is another one of these celebrities. I hope Walker wins. And
well, wait, let's stop you right there. If Laxalt in Nevada wins because Kelly won in Arizona, it'll be Republicans 50, Democrats 49. I have said on numerous podcasts that Walker would be the 51st vote. Have I not always said that?
You went as high as 56 in the Senate.
No, but I also had said if it's close, Walker will end up being the 51st vote. Have I not said that? Play the podcast back.
You have said that, but you've also said the Republicans will be up 56 in the Senate. Now let's talk about Walker for a minute. Walker is another one of these candidates that, look, in my defense, I don't follow these kinds of sports. I'm like Herschel Walker. I'm like, that's the Heisman guy. Like, I don't know that much. I couldn't have picked Herschel Walker out. If Herschel Walker had walked up to me and punched me in the face, I wouldn't know it was Herschel Walker. And I'm probably one of the few people in America that could say that. I'm assuming. It's the way it appears. But they chose Herschel Walker because he's famous, and I guess he's popular in Georgia because everybody knows him, right? Because you were talking about he played in college there. I didn't know that. Like, whatever. Herschel Walker has turned out to be such a terrible candidate. The only redeeming value, the only saving grace is that Warnock could be a worse candidate. And it looks like right now that Warnock is not a worse candidate than Herschel Walker. And Trump endorsed him. People got behind him. And then all this crazy shit started coming out about Walker. Crazy fucking shit. All these women that are in hiding because he threatens them, and all this crazy dog shit stuff that comes out about Walker. And let's keep in mind, here's what I said about Walker in Georgia. I said, if Kemp blows it out, he can pull Walker across the finish line. Well, apparently, Kemp blew it out in Georgia, handedly. But Walker is such a poor candidate, he couldn't even break 50%. This has to be. Wait. Well, we can talk about if Walker ends up in the Senate. Fantastic, but we got to have a conversation here as Republicans to start telling the truth about what the fuck is going on here. You gotta stop choosing these people just because they're celebutards. Okay? Well, I know that name. I'm going to vote for that guy. Or I know that name. I'm going to vote for that girl. Herschel Walker was a guy that was trading on his name and nothing else. And the fact that Herschel Walker has to go to a runoff in Georgia against Warnock when the top of the ticket, the governor, is so popular, it's crazy, and Trump endorsed Walker, the fact that this happened, this is another example that candidate quality does matter, Republicans. You got to stop choosing crazy people as your candidates. Candidate quality did more to damage Republicans in this race than anything else.
Well, you could also have that exact same argument with two prominent Democrats, Stacey Abrams and Beto O'Rourke.
Neither one has ever fucking won anything. You're making my argument.
Exactly.
You know how
So
much money? Do you
what I
know how
well, my
much?
argument
Do
is
you know
it
how
goes on
much
both
money?
sides.
Do you know how much money? Do you know how much money Democrats have spent on Beto O'Rourke in 3 different races over the last 6 or 8 years?
It's got to be in the hundreds of millions.
They've come out with the number. It's $200 million.
Wow.
Down the drain. Down the drain. And you know what? Let's talk about Stacey Abrams for a minute. Let's talk about candidate quality here. Okay? I want to talk about Stacey Abrams. I want to talk about Val Demings in Florida, and I want to talk about Kamala Harris. And it's like, what do these 3 fucking people have to do with each other? And people listening to this podcast, this is analysis you're going to hear from us, and you're never going to hear this on Fox News or CNN or any of these other places because they lie to you. And the Democrats lie to themselves, and the Republicans try to lie to me. And, at least the people that lie to themselves will take you over the fucking edge of the cliff. The only difference between Republicans and Democrats is Republicans lie to me, Democrats lie to themselves. That is not something to be proud of. Stacey Abrams is a nut job, basket case, train wreck wrapped up in a suicide pack. Okay? So, yeah, she is poor candidate quality. And Stacey Abrams went from being the highest on high in the Democratic Party, and she made a lot of bad choices and wrecked her political career. All right? Now, let's talk about Val Demings, and let's talk about Kamala Harris. Because these 3 names are important. These are the 3 names that were circulated by the Democratic Party to be Joe Biden's vice presidential nominee.
I remember that.
Joe Biden came out and he said, it's going to be a woman of color. And it's like, well, there's a lot of, Amy Klobuchar up in where's Klobuchar at? Up in Minnesota. Klobuchar's up there like, fuck, really? Like, what about me? Like, Amy Klobuchar's been running for vice president for a decade, but it's like, okay, fine. So she's out because she's the wrong color. So they narrow it down to 3 people. And this is important because of 2024. It's Kamala Harris, Stacey Abrams, and Val Demings. And most people listening to this podcast probably don't even know who Val Demings is. And Val Demings, as a matter of fact, lost. Didn't Val Demings lose to Rubio?
She got smoked.
Was it Rubio she was running against for Senate?
Yes, she is running for Florida Senate.
Okay, she's running for Florida Senate. So, Stacey Abrams for vice presidential candidate, people like, you can't choose Stacey Abrams. She's not going to stay on message. She's crazy. She's crazy. You can't campaign with Stacey Abrams, especially with Joe Biden. Like, she's going to say crazy shit all the time. So they made a smart choice, and they said it can't be Stacey Abrams because the bitch is crazy. And I even remember Stacey Abrams coming out publicly when her name was being floated, and she was like, you have to choose me or you're a bigot. And talk about really shooting herself in the foot. The Democrat Party was like, bitch, you need to be a fucking team player. They're like, you ain't the only black woman in this fucking party. So they shit her off. So it came down to 2 candidates, and this is super, super, super important. It's Val Demings, and it's Kamala Harris. What does Kamala Harris bring? Kamala Harris, she's from California. She was a statewide elected official, a senator. She brings a lot of the Hollywood money. She's attractive. She was good on paper, and she was really, like, they were saying she was going to be the one. Okay, she turns out she was such a poor candidate. She got out of the race before Iowa. She got out of the race running for president before the Iowa caucuses. She was doing so poorly. Okay? So that was a clue. Val Demings is down in Florida. Val Demings is a law and order candidate. I think she was a prosecutor. Before Val Demings...
No, she was the Orlando police chief.
Okay, well, no, I think she was a prosecutor after she became police chief, but I was about to say that. She was going to be she was a law enforcement officer. She is a better candidate all day, every day, and twice on Sunday than Stacey Abrams. She at least didn't have to drop out of the primaries before Iowa, and as Kamala Harris, and and it's like, why didn't they choose her? Because she could. It's like, okay, well, you could choose Kamala Harris because California and bring all that California money. Well, the reality is you're going to get all that California money anyway. Democrats, they got that money. Val Demings could help carry Florida. The only reason the Democrats did not choose Val Demings as the vice presidential nominee under Biden is because she was a cop. And they were on this defund the police crazy bullshit. Okay? And so they didn't choose the right candidate. They chose the wrong candidate. And now they're all running for cover on all this, on the crime, and running for cover on the defund the police. And like, I didn't say defund the police. I mean, they're literally trying to gaslight everybody. And now they have a vice presidential candidate that everybody says, they're like, well, Kamala Harris put people that smoked weed in jail, and Kamala Harris, she can't be president. Like, everyone's like, you can't have her be president. She's fucking crazy. And the reality is, it should be Val Demings, and nobody would have a problem with Valerie Demings being a president of the United States. And they would be in such better shape. The Democrats would be in such better shape if they had just chose the best quality candidate that also made the most sense on the Electoral College map to be their bottom of the ticket, because it would save them to 2024. But they're in a quandary now with Kamala. They're in a quandary now with Biden. The Republicans are in a quandary now with Bush. And this is going to be a train wreck for the next 2 years. I'm sorry. Trump. This is going to be a train wreck for the next 2 years.
Well, especially when Biden is mulling again about, oh, yeah, I might run. He'll be 84 years old. It's like, come on, you belong on Geritol in a rocking chair.
That's because we're Republicans.
Our average, even Democrats, want an 84-year-old person running this country, knowing the inflation. Here's the thing. In the midterms, Democrats ran on abortion and they ran on democracy, like we were speaking about earlier. In 2024, what are they going to run on? Okay, the abortion thing, that's going, states, whatever, this or that. You won your seats, this, that, all the other stuff. What is going to be their battle cry in 2024?
Nobody knows. It's too far away.
It's not that far away. It's really not.
2 years is an eternity in politics. Are you kidding me? In 2 years, Kamala Harris could be Saint Kamala. Now, that seems crazy, but, Donald Trump going into 2019 and 2020, all right, just bear with me. Everybody was saying Donald Trump was going to win re-election, including Democrats on CNN. They were like, oh my God, Trump's going to win re-election. I can't fucking believe this. And look, Donald Trump's not in the White House. When George Herbert Walker Bush, at the end of the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, he had like a 91% approval rating. He was the most popular president by approval rating in modern American political history. And in 1992, it was James Carville and Bill Clinton campaigning saying it's the economy, stupid, and Bush is out. That was a year. 2 years is an eternity. We don't know what's going to show up in 2 years.
That's true. Well, the only thing you could bet is going to show in 2 years, the only thing that you could bet the farm on what is going to show up in 2 years is more pundits being wrong.
Okay, let's talk about pundits and let's talk about the polls, because this is important, all right? What are we going to do about polling in 2024? What are we going to do about polling? Like, how is it? Okay, all right. If the polls were, all these polls, like, why did the polls, the polling industry is in chaos, too. And there's a couple reasons for it. The number one reason is they got everything so wrong in 2016 that they didn't see it coming. And so they've been trying to compensate with their polling numbers to try to get off of that. And they've been screwing all that up ever since. And so now it looks like the polls were off again. And I was suspicious of these polls because it was like, it's like, I'm great, a big white, a red wave. Let's go way up in the House. Let's, get the Senate. And, it turned into, okay, this is a Republican win, technically on paper, because you can divide government. But this is a win like Dunkirk was a victory for the British in World War II. All you did was keep your ass Winston Churchill is saying, a couple more victories like this, we're not going to have an empire left. It's what to do about the polls. Like how...
It's very simple. 3 famous words. Polls don't vote. Have you ever heard that cliche? Polls don't vote, people do.
What about exit polling?
How do you know that you're being told the truth?
That's true, because that's how you got to Donald Trump. Because apparently you had a lot of people in 2016 that either lied or didn't answer the phone or even tell exit pollers that they voted for Trump because they didn't want to be called bigots. And a lot of people voted for Trump in 2016 that were ashamed to admit it. And the polls have been fucked up ever since.
Well, let's get back to the Senate. Do you know what a lot of people are really overlooking? Not that if it goes 50-50, if Laxalt wins and Walker doesn't, you're back to 50-50, this or that. People aren't thinking of a person like Christian Sinema. She is now coming from a state where if Kari Lake pulls it out, has a Republican governor, a Democrat senator, the Trump-endorsed Secretary of State was beaten. So it's like, is she the one going to be the wild card in this whole play of the 50-50 again, like she was for the filibuster?
Yes.
I think she is going to end up being one of the biggest players because her state, where she comes from, is dead down the line 50-50. So I think she's going to command more attention than anybody else in the Senate.
Okay, so now that we're talking about Arizona, let me just touch on this real quick, then I'll talk about Kristen Sinema. The first thing is Kari Lake is very interesting. Kari Lake is very charismatic, and Kari Lake can really get the press and get the media, and she's good on camera. My argument was the only way that I don't even know who was it that's running against
Hobbs.
Hobbs. I don't even know the guy's name.
And no, it's a girl.
Okay, even better. So great. This proves my point. So I was like, if Kari Lake blows it out in Arizona, she will pull the Republican candidate across the finish line to beat Mark Kelly. But otherwise, Mark Kelly is a very popular senator in Arizona because he's kind of weird. He's not a total ideologue. He will go wishy-washy on some stuff, just like Kristen Sinema. They liked those people in Arizona, just like John McCain. So, I think there is... Kristen Sinema is going to be a player because Kristen Sinema is now going to turn into the Joe Manchin. Here's another interesting thing. Let's talk about Joe Manchin for a minute. Do you know what Joe Manchin's future is? Joe Manchin is... How old is Joe Manchin? I'll look it up. You know what Joe Manchin's future is in politics? Like, he's a senator from West Virginia. Like, what his future is. Is it, Have you heard?
Yes. 2024.
With who?
I don't know.
Joe Manchin is, as of today, his birthday was August 24th, 1947. Joe Manchin is 75 years old. He's at the exact same age as Doc. Joe Manchin was governor of West Virginia. He likes being governor of West Virginia. He doesn't like being senator. But, when he became Joe Manchin, That got to be pretty interesting for him. There's been talk. People have been trying to float this in the Beltway for a little bit. Again, this isn't real, but they float it. They're trying to float Joe Manchin top of the ticket and Condoleezza Rice at the bottom of the ticket. Can you believe that? And it's like, and the thing is, it's like, why would they do that?
It's like, it's easy because Manchin is middle of the road.
Okay,
he shows conservative traits a lot of times.
Middle of the road is fine, but you have to have an environment that is important, that's conducive to that. If his argument, Joe Manchin's argument, is going to be that if it's going to be Trump in 2024, and if Trump is really running in the primaries, and if it's Biden trying to run in the primaries, either they'll do a third way, or maybe they would choose the primary, one of the parties. But their argument would be they would do a third way to try to stop, because Biden's been, got his commies have their hand up his ass like a muppet, and Trump's political instincts when it comes to dealing with other politicians is so bass-ackwards, it's insane. I like Trump. There's a lot of things I like about Trump, and I want to give Trump, guys, people listen to this podcast, if you've never listened to me before, you would think I'm anti-Trump or I'm shitting on Trump. Trump doesn't get enough credit for a lot of things. So when Trump talked about banning TikTok, everyone's like, what? Are you fucking crazy? You can't do that. And now it's like, oh yeah, let's ban TikTok. Everyone's talking,
we gotta ban TikTok. I seen that today.
Yeah, well, it comes up again and again and again. Trump is talking about launching missiles at these fentanyl factories and these dope factories in Mexico and in Central and South America that are funneling drugs in the United States, killing 50 to 100,000 Americans every year. And the military, like what's his name, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, they were horrified. And now you're starting to see people talk about the idea of, well, it's a transnational organization, and your local dope officers can't really deal with it. And the DEA can't really deal with it, and it's really you get almost like a Tom Clancy movie, Clear and Present Danger. And let's just start shooting missiles at them, and it's becoming more and more popular. Donald Trump says things that come off as crazy, policy-wise, that ultimately end up becoming mainstream very quickly, and that's the genius of Donald Trump. The weakness of Donald Trump. Have you heard about Donald Trump going after Glenn Youngkin yesterday?
No, I did not. I know Youngkin and Trump. I did hear there's a little bit of some ill will going on, but I didn't hear any detail.
Glenn Youngkin is the governor of Virginia, and Glenn Youngkin won primarily on the school board issue.
School board, right.
And Donald Trump wanted to go down there and campaign with Glenn Youngkin. They basically had to keep locking the door and with a taser being like, stay away, don't come down here and campaign, stay away. And then Glenn Youngkin, he found Winsome Sears, and Winsome Sears is amazing. She's a black conservative female in Virginia. She's a retired, I think she's a gunnery sergeant. She's a retired Marine Corps non-commissioned officer. I'm almost certain she's a gunnery sergeant. And she's kind of a Trumpster. She's very interesting. She's an immigrant to the United States. She's inspiring and interesting. She's really interesting. And she came out 2 days ago and said, I think it's time for the Republican Party to move on from Donald Trump. Because she can see that Donald Trump's starting to become a problem. So what does Donald Trump do? He is not going to attack Winsome Sears, a black conservative Marine in Virginia. That seems to be the only, I don't know why he doesn't attack her. He won't attack the guy here in Ohio, was an ever-Trumper, endorsed him. He won't go after her. So what does he do? He turns around the next day and gets on Twitter and starts going apeshit on Youngkin and saying, I made him, I endorsed him. He wouldn't be governor because of me. And also then he comes out and he literally says, Youngkin sounds Chinese. And it's like, oh, that's great. Thanks, Donald. That's a real useful fucking comment. What is that supposed to mean? Are you racist? Are you bigoted? Are you anti-Chinese? The fuck is that even supposed to mean? And it's shit like this that gets Donald Trump. Donald Trump is about to talk him. If Donald Trump keeps getting on the fucking internet and running his fucking mouth, he's gonna blue checkmark his ass out of the 2024 nomination.
Yeah, and that would be to the mainstream media's ultra delight.
He started coming out attacking DeSantis.
Yes, who's the biggest threat to Trump?
I know, but DeSantis hasn't done anything to Trump.
Well, Trump said that he made DeSantis what he is
I know,
today.
But wait, has DeSantis come out and said anything against Trump? No. Has DeSantis come out and said anything about Trump running in 2024? No. Has DeSantis come out and criticized Trump's endorsements or lack of endorsements or had an opinion on Trump's endorsements? No. Has DeSantis come out and had any opinion about Donald Trump holding rallies or saying anything that he says on the internet? No. All of a sudden, Donald Trump decides. What happens is Donald Trump watches TV all day. This is without a doubt absolutely certain. It is entirely possible that Donald Trump might even listen to this podcast because it's apparently all he does is he consumes political media all day. And
sounds like somebody on this podcast.
And he gets a whiff of something he doesn't like, and he wants to go out and give his hot take on it. And like no one's asking him. And it's like, like if you and I are talking about DeSantis, and we're like, I don't know, what do you think about DeSantis 2024? I don't know. He seems pretty interesting. He seems pretty popular. Like he can come up with ideas and things that old guard Republicans can't do. But he also can also appeal to the old guard Republicans. He seems like he's Trump without the crazy, and that seems interesting. Donald Trump hears us talking about DeSantis and starts attacking DeSantis. And it's like, what the fuck? Like Donald Trump's comments, when Donald Trump came out and literally said Glenn Youngkin sounds Chinese, that brought back all of the worst things that I used to hate about Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump would occasionally, I remember when they were talking about, there was a question as to whether Kamala Harris was a naturalized U.S. citizen, whether she could constitutionally be vice president. And instead of keeping his mouth shut and saying something like, you need to talk to the fucking Democrats about that. That ain't my fucking problem. And basically make it a story about the Democrats. Donald Trump starts giving his hot take, going on and on, contradicting himself, saying things that now the media and the left-stream media can now basically, instead of focusing on this issue with Kamala, they can just make it about Trump again. And it's like, dude, will you just shut the fuck up? Like, Napoleon had a phrase. And I think Donald Trump would be wise to learn from Napoleon in this one case. When your enemy is making a mistake, don't interrupt him.
True. Like he called DeSantis de-sanctimonious. Did you hear that?
Yeah, that was. I mean,
well, same thing like with the Youngkin thing. It's like, shut up, Donald.
It's like, oh man, like it is going to be a long 2 goddamn years, unless there's a grand bargain. Have you heard about the grand bargain?
No, I have not.
The grand bargain is being floated by people, and this makes sense. I've kind of come up with this myself. And the grand bargain goes as follows. People that work in government and people that work in the Republican Party, they sit down with Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is the art of the deal, and they say, look, here's what we're going to do. Here's the offer. You don't run in 2024. And you can be the chief emeritus of the Republican Party. You can go out and you can endorse and cajole and talk, and everybody, you're the old statesman of the Republican Party, and we all listen to you. But you stay out of this race, and the Justice Department decides we're not going to prosecute or indict you. And we're going to let bygones be bygones. We're all going to move on as a country and not do this anymore. That's the grand bargain that's being floated.
That's interesting. I have not heard that. Well, and here's the thing. Trump's ego would never let him go for that.
Well, yes. However, Trump always spins stuff to his benefit. So he would say, they were afraid, they backed off, can't touch me, I'm still here. He would not admit there was a bargain. He would say, I can do more as the titular head of the Republican Party. They're all afraid of me, and I'm here, and they're not. And let's go change the country. And my endorsement: if you want to run as Republican, you got to genuflect before me. And he'd be like, they had no choice. I win. And that Donald Trump wouldn't say there was a grand bargain. Donald Trump would say he won, they lost.
That's true too. Well, now that you are framing it, 2 years is an eternity in politics.
No, anything
can happen.
It's going to be a long 2 years. It's going to be a long 2 years because Donald Trump is just. My advice to Republicans before this weekend was let Trump run. If he runs, DeSantis just stays away. If Trump wins, he wins. If he loses, he loses. And, because Trump is, and rightfully so, feels like he was wrongly treated by a lot of people, especially the U.S. government, and what they did to him in his first term. And he needs a chance to vindicate himself. And unless he feels vindicated, he's never going away.
Yeah, they still haven't proclaimed Laura Bulbert either winner or loser yet. I think it's within 100 votes out there.
Well, that's, we'll end it on that note, but that's a good sign. Like, wait a minute, if there was going to be a red wave, or the red wave was ever real, she wouldn't have been close with her. Correct. She would have won handily. So,
but Marjorie Taylor Greene smoked her opponent.
Yeah, I don't know enough about her district. I honestly don't pay attention to her at all. I just don't. I don't know why. I just don't find her interesting. She doesn't really do anything that gets my attention. So,
and Governor Noem spent millions on her reelection and won.
Kristi Noem?
Yes.
That's good.
But why? Yeah. I mean, she had it down pat anyway. Why spend all those millions?
I don't know. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she had to. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's not a red wave either.
No, but she wanted to keep herself relevant.
Oh, sure. She's definitely running for vice president, too. She has been for a while.
Yes, she has. Well, look at it on the good note, though, out of this whole thing, we don't have to put up with Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger anymore.
God almighty. And we're going to definitely end it on that. And that wraps up episode 278 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see number stories or picture links of anything we discuss, please go to our website at john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
Bye-bye.